So everyone's talking about like not having or canceling their health insurance. And I just wanted to put this out there. Sorry, I just went camping, but didn't look great. But I broke my right arm, my wrist actually. Well, actually, to be accurate, my right forearm. Basically all the way across when I didn't have insurance. This was 2 years ago. I was in Colorado panning for gold, and ironically slipped in some mud on the riverbank, landed right on a rock right across my forearm, completely broke it. It was sideways, like completely crooked, a few inches above my wrist. It was terrifying. Not having insurance for that was really scary. But I did it. I was able to do it. A couple miracles happened. No, they did not just admit me to the hospital to fix it. I wish they had done that. That's not hospital policy. Probably because I was under 65. I don't know. I could take care of myself. I had a driver, So they sent me back to Texas they put in an urgent referral to orthopedic surgery. Orthopedic surgery, I put down the last few $100s I had for my first appointment with them. They then said, okay, well, you don't have insurance, so you're going to have to go through the financial office in order to approve this surgery. And I said, okay, that's fine. Super important. Met up a meeting with them, brought my income information. And they then, this was the worst part about it. Miracle happened, and also really something bad. So first of all, what did they say? They said, okay, we can do the surgery. It's $23,000. What we're going to need is like $2,500 down payment. And then basically it'll be like a car payment. You pay us like $500 a month for basically like what ended up being like 5 years. I then said, sure. I was like, sure, I'll pay that. And I said, but I'm not working right now. I can't work because this is my right hand. I'm right hand dominant. I'm not working, even though I'm still employed. Luckily my job my managers were cool. They wanted me back, but I was going to be off work for like 4 to 6 months and with no income. And I said, doesn't that help me out at all? And she was like, no, actually, she's like, if you got fired or quit your job, even if you voluntarily quit like tomorrow, then we could put you in for a charity, application, and they would probably cover it all. Mind you, while all this is going on, like I've got a 14-day limit to fix the 4 breaks in my arm, because at the 14-day point, your bones start to fuse. And the ER doctor told me that in Colorado. He was like, you've got 10 to 14 days limit. I ended up having surgery on day 15. I applied for a care credit card, was able to put down the down payment for surgery, never made a single payment to the hospital for the rest of it. I still owe on that care credit card. It's not much, but about $2,700. Yeah, so that's what I ended up paying. But then even after that, they had a committee had to approve, like a hospital committee met daily, and they would approve like kind of like cash patients for surgery who they probably couldn't afford the whole thing, or they were unfunded. And so I didn't know until the night before that I was approved for surgery the next day, and that was on the 15th day. So it was just very stressful. I think it went really well in the end. Thinking about it, now I'm like, that went as good as it could have gone. What really saved me, because I was out of savings, I had to pull from my 401k to live on for 3 months, as I didn't have short-term disability either at the time. I was kind of like a contract worker. I work in healthcare. I'm, whatever. I have a license, but I make good money, but I had no benefits at the time. I was going through a divorce. So I now have all the benefits I can have. I work full-time, just a little bit more than I was then, 1 day a month more to get all those benefits. But if I had to compare like paying an outrageous amount of healthcare now, $900 a month for myself, let's say, or something, more than $500 a month is out of the question for me. I would still take that bet, especially if you have either good credit and or a 401k is priceless. If you're not going to carry insurance, health insurance, have a 401k and fund it well. At least keep putting things into it, at least the company match, because then that saved me for my like living expenses. And so, yeah, like looking back on it, you can survive without insurance. And yes, it is mostly a scam. Right now I have it because it's through my employer. Like I said, I work a little bit more. I pay $350 a month for all my insurance. It's like kind of like an HMO, but it's pretty cheap. And that includes all the other benefits. So, except retirement, but, so it's a pretty good thing, but you can do it. But the caveat there is have your shit together elsewhere. So that means, like, for example, my car was paid off at the time, but it wasn't in good shape and it needed work and I hadn't done it. And, when my arm was broken, I was offered this 3-month period and my car just decided to, like the work, like I had needed to get another car or like at least get it looked at, and I just had put it off. And then all of a sudden I, have this broken arm, can't make money anyway. Once I could drive again, like I had no car because I couldn't afford another, or I didn't want to take out another like $2,000, to fix my car. So just have your shit together, have good credit. Care Credit saved my life. I will always say that. I mean, I would have had to wait another week probably to get 401k money or quit my job altogether in order to, go around that down payment. And that's another question. Why do we have to quit our jobs that we have to go back to just to get funded for charity care when we're uninsured and we need surgery? That really pissed me off because I was like, I just imagined instantly when she said that, I imagined all these cash workers, working in whatever fields, construction, restaurants, whatever. They're probably not reporting their income. I make a good income, but it's obviously reported. I work for a hospital system, so it's all on the IRS. They can see it, but all these other people probably don't. And then they break their arm, they go to the hospital, and it's all charity care. Everything is charity care from the second they walk in there, because it looks like they make nothing, or it looks like they make 20 grand or something. So that really made me mad, because I was like, plus you're asking me to quit my job that like I've had for like 10 years or something. Like I'm well qualified to have, and my managers respect me enough to keep that position for me. And then you like want me to just quit it to like pay for surgery. Like, why are those things like even in the same boat, so that really made me mad. But where you get in trouble with not having insurance, I think, is, yeah, obviously I could have had a worse emergency. Now, there are emergencies that are real emergencies, because I know this because I work in the hospital, that they will admit you no matter what. If you have a heart attack and you're uninsured, they're going to admit you no matter what, but you're going to be billed for, $100,000. That's just that's just what happens. That's the risk that you take there. So if you're pretty healthy, maybe that doesn't happen, but you can never tell. You really can never tell with these things. If you want to have a baby, it might be worth it for the prenatal care. Another thing I was lucky with, I had therapy after my surgery, and it was all bundled into one thing. My hospital just did that. So if you have surgery that requires therapy, it's covered under that one payment. And so for like 3 months, I was able to go to therapy sessions basically for free. They didn't ask for any copay or anything. They're like, we're just billing you for the surgery until we bill you for your first payment. You're not going to have to pay anything. And that therapy was essential for me to even be able to do anything with my hand. I still can't quite turn it right all the way, but it's way better than it was. So the other caveat is cancer risk. So if you have a history of cancer in your family significantly, if you're at high risk for cancer, you smoke, you drink all the time, you live a crazy lifestyle, you base jump, that kind of thing. Because cancer, once you're diagnosed, that's a pre-existing condition. And before Trump, he rolled back. Obama had made it so that insurance couldn't take away care because of pre-existing conditions. Now they can. So if let's say I get a lump in my breast and I'm uninsured and I pay for it myself, I go get a mammogram. Tomorrow I find out I have breast cancer, okay? That's now documented somewhere. Now there's HIPAA, and you can use that to your advantage. You can definitely do that because they cannot release any of your, I don't know, you have to look it up. But yeah, those pre-existing conditions are kind of hairy. So if I get diagnosed tomorrow with breast cancer and then I try to sign up for Blue Cross or something, they're going to be like, oh, but has anyone diagnosed this before? And if I say no, I'm technically lying on something. I mean, what's the penalty for that too? There's we need to fight these insurance companies tooth and nail in all these little gray areas because they do it to us. So what I'm saying is, use your HIPAA, use your freaking, I don't know, holes in the system as far as to fight them. You know what I'm saying? Who says I have a pre-existing condition? I got a second opinion and it didn't actually happen. It wasn't there, just something. We need to find some kind of established ways to fight against this insurance system because that's what they're doing to us and hospitals. And it's not cool. And these corporations, these insurance companies are our enemies. Not only our healthcare system's enemy, but our enemies, But I just wanted to put that out there. It is doable to have a major fracture and pay for it. If you're completely unemployed or if you're just making, $8 an hour, you'd probably cover for charity care, but it depends on what kind of hospitals you got near you. Do you have, mine are all nonprofits. So they throw that in with their annual, community benefit. So it depends on a lot of factors. You just got to weigh everything, you got to weigh everything, but it's not the end of the world. And there's always care credit, and there's always try to get your credit up because having that decent credit really kind of got me. I have a higher income. I knew I wasn't going to qualify for shit as far as charity, but that paying my bills and having a job for a long time, really got me good there. So you just got to you can't mess up in every part of life, right? So if you cancel your insurance, just prepare for it. Have a savings, 401k, good credit, something like that. That's it.